Hi guys, I'm Dr. Pratiksha and welcome back to my channel. So first of all, before starting the video today, I would like to thank you guys for showing so much of love on these two videos. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स का क्वेरी आ रहा था, मैसेज आ रहा था कि मैम हाउ टू अप्रोच एनाटमी, हाउ टू स्टडी एनाटमी इन द BDS फर्स्ट ईयर. जब आप BDS फर्स्ट ईयर में जाते हो, it becomes very difficult to understand this particular subject, human anatomy, because we are not used to learn something in so much of detail. So आज के वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे हाउ यू कैन अप्रोच दिस सब्जेक्ट इजीली, हाउ यू हैव टू स्टडी इट, कैसे कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर करने हैं, कैसे नोट्स बनाने हैं एंड कैसे BDS में अच्छे मार्क्स स्कोर करने हैं एनाटमी में. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द वीडियो टुडे. So anatomy is one of the most major medical subject of your BDS first year. This subject lays your foundation for the medical course. If you have a good grip, you have a good concept of this subject, it will help you in a number of ways. And what we basically study in it is, we'll study about the bones, their important landmarks, then your muscle attachment, then the nerve supply. And this is going to give you a lot of broad ideas that which organ is present where in the body, which bone is present where, then what is the muscle that is attached to that particular bone, what is the nerve supply of that area, and as you know that we are going to deal with the head and neck specifically, and so it's very much important that we have a very good grasp of this subject. So now moving on, the human anatomy subject is divided into 4 equivalent important parts. The first half is your general anatomy, the second half is your head and neck, the third part is the upper limb, and the fourth part is your lower limb. Now for the dental students, it is very important to have a good hold of general anatomy and head and neck. Upper limb is not that important. There are few important topics which I will let you know, which you have to study. And apart from that, lower limb you should have just a gross idea, not that much in detail for us. Now the first and foremost important thing is that which books should you consider for anatomy. The first book that everyone should have is BD CHOURASIA. Now BD CHOURASIA comes in the 4 volume. You can purchase the general anatomy volume and the head and neck volume. Apart from that, purchasing upper limb and lower limb is not mandatory. You can download the PDF. The second option is VISHRAM SINGH. Now VISHRAM SINGH also comes in the same volumes. Now it depends upon you which book would you like to purchase. Both are equivalent good. The third option that you have is NETTER'S Atlas of Human Anatomy. Now this book is not mandatory to purchase, you can download the PDF as there is nothing written in this book, it is more of the diagrams. The diagrams are really good and you should have this downloaded as a PDF, or if you want to buy it, you can definitely buy the book. Moving on, the app that I want you to download is a 3D learning app. As I told you in my last video also, I told you guys to download this app. This app will give you a 3-dimensional view. Now, once you enter in your dental college, you will see that the bones are available in the dissection hall itself. It is not mandatory to purchase these bones. That's why I'm asking you to download this app. It will give you a 3D dimension view. It will become easier for you to learn. You do not have to purchase the set of bones, and that will again cost you a lot of money. So you can go to the dissection lab and study the bones and the organs there. Apart from that, you can just refer to the NETTER'S Atlas and this particular app to clear your concepts in your room when you are studying.
Moving on, we'll see what are the few steps that we have to keep in mind while starting the topic. So suppose today you have decided that you are going to study the scalp in head and neck anatomy. So first and foremost thing that you should do is decide the topic for the day. Now suppose you have decided that you're going to study scalp. Okay. So the first thing that you should see in the textbook is the diagram of the scalp. Okay. Anatomy is moreover about diagrams only. If you remember the diagram, you will keep your concepts very clear. So after deciding the topic, go for the first reading. Look at the diagram. See what are the parts that they are showing, which area consists of what. Give it a reading. After reading it, it's now time for you to build the concept. How you will build your concepts. Suppose you gave the reading, looked at the key points, and then correlate it with the diagram. Okay. After building your concepts, then you are supposed to make the notes. Most of you, what you do is that when you're reading the topic, you do not correlate, you do nothing, you just decide the topic and move directly to notes. No, you do not have to do that. You have to first build your concepts, understand what you're studying, and then make the notes. Now after making the notes, make sure you try to recall and revise as much as you can. Do not just make the notes and then forget about it and do not recall and do not revise. It is not done like that. You have to keep on revising anatomy time to time to keep things fresh in your mind. Just a small note before we move on to the next part. I want you guys to study this particular chapter before starting your journey to anatomy. This particular chapter in the General Anatomy book of VISHRAM Singh, or maybe BD CHOURASIA, whatever you choose to study from. I want you to understand these anatomical terminologies and the position that you can see in the diagrams, as these will be very important to set your foundation on how to start your journey to anatomy, how to study the subject, what are the positions that they are referring to. Normal positions that we know are totally different in the layman term. These are anatomical positions that you have to keep in mind before starting the subject. So take a fine look at it, see all the diagrams, read them, and then move forward. Just to make things easier for you, I'll be giving you two examples from two different books, like from General Anatomy and then Head and Neck Anatomy. So first we'll discuss the General Anatomy, that how you should approach the subject. So suppose we are reading the tissues chapter today. Now you have to open your book on one side and you have to open your copy or your note copy on one side. I'm showing you digitally because I'm recording this video, otherwise even I would like to work on pen and paper. So now suppose I'm reading the tissues part. Now I'll just first read the lines that what is epithelial tissue? It is a sheet of cells and the cells are tightly packed together and there's no little or no intercellular matrix between them. They have a very high regeneration capacity. Now the classification of epithelium, it is divided into two main types: simple epithelium and compound stratified epithelium. I read it. Now I want to understand it. So I just want to remember these key points that I have highlighted. That it is a sheet of cell. The cells are tightly packed together. There's no intercellular matrix between them. They have a high regeneration capacity. Now what is the classification? It is of two types mainly, that is simple and compound. Now what is simple and what is compound? Simple means a single layer of cell and compound means multiple layers of cell. You just want to highlight and remember these parts. Just remember the key points. You do not have to read this whole story and write this whole story on your paper. So now when you're making notes, now you want to write about simple squamous epithelium. So just write the headline and write the key points only. That is, it is made up of flattened cells in mosaic-like pattern. A single layer. Make sure to mention it is single layer. And if you're talking about simple cuboidal epithelium, it is made up of cuboidal cells. You just have to make notes like this. See, on the left side you can see a whole book, so many stories written there. But on the right side you can see the simplified version of this, which you have to remember. This part is more easier to remember, this right side part. Make sure to purchase some colored pencils so that you can draw them. It will help you to keep them remembered for a longer time. Make your notes short and crisp. Okay, do not write stories and stories. Try to make diagrams also, as it will help you to practice it and write down in your theory paper also. Now to start the head and neck anatomy, first I want you to open the NETTER'S atlas. This is the NETTER'S atlas. First see the diagrams. So suppose right now we are referring to anterior skull view, which is known as norma frontalis, when the skull is viewed from the front. I told you anatomical positions are very important. Nobody is going to tell you view the skull from the front. They will always refer as norma frontalis. Seen the diagram? Now just first see the gross bone. Okay, suppose this is your frontal bone. This is your frontal bone. After that, this is your nasal bone. This is your lacrimal bone. First see the diagrams grossly. This is the parietal bone, the one in green. Then this light green color is your maxilla. This is your mandible. Then there's this orange part, which is a zygomatic bone. So first see this grossly and then read the inner part. Let's suppose if this is your frontal bone, this blue part, then what is the center region? This is glabella. You have to read this later. First see the gross structure, then see the minute particles. Just like this, norma lateralis, when the skull is seen from the lateral view. Okay, always remember these scientific terms. Do not use layman terms in anatomy. This is your base of skull. when viewed from the base. This is norma basalis. Just like this, first read the gross features, then the inside features. Do not read everything in continuation. First see the gross features, the gross bone parts, and then read everything else in detail. Now that you have studied from the NETTER'S Atlas, you know the gross features, I want you to come to the Anatomy 3D Learning app and see the structures and recall everything that you have studied. This will work as the bones, okay? So, as we have read, this part is your frontal bone, this is your parietal bone, and the view that we are looking towards is norma frontalis because we are looking from the front. This is your maxillary bone, this is your mandible bone, this is your glabellar region, this is your nasion, because we have just read all this. So we have to come and recall in the Anatomy 3D Learning app. You have the feature here to see the display names also, that which bone is what. Suppose you click here, you can see it is showing frontal bone. If you click here, it is showing maxilla. So you can just recall all that you have read in the NETTER'S Atlas and see the 3D dimensional view to keep things fresh in your mind. I hope this clears your concept. Rotate the skull. Just a second, guys. So rotate the skull and see, this is your norma lateralis view. This is your norma occipitalis view. This is your norma basalis view. Just you have to rotate it like that and revise everything that you have read in the NETTER'S. So by the time you will open your VISHRAM, SINGH or CHOURASIA, your concepts are clear, you know the gross anatomy, you know the bone parts, and now what you have to do is just read. Now it will become too easier for you to recall everything. That skull are studied from 5 different aspects. You know now norma verticalis, norma occipitalis. You can even identify by now that what is the anatomical position that they are talking about. See, here it is given norma verticalis. It is easier. You do not have to read so much of story. You only have to remember the parts. Do not have to remember all this what is written here. Now just read like this. It's norma verticalis view. Now what are the parts that can be seen here? You can see the frontal bone here. You can see the parietal bone here. You can see the occipital bone here. Okay, and what else can be seen? You can see the coronal suture, the sagittal suture, and the lambdoid suture. Just like that, what can be seen in norma occipitalis, what can be seen in norma frontalis, you can now read things easier. So after doing so much, it will become very easy for you, and when you come and read your textbook, it will work as a revision for you because you already know the gross anatomy. Now you just have to read a bit of inside, that what is the part, what is that minute thing that you have missed while reading those can be read from here. Here everything is written, that what are those minute structures, what is the importance. You have to just remember them. It will become very easier for you guys. Just go for the NETTER'S first, then do the Anatomy 3D Learning app, and then come and read the textbook. You have to first know the gross features, then read those features in detail. So I hope by now it's clear. If you are having any doubt, please comment down below about this.
That's all for today. I really hope this video will be helpful for you. The next time you try to study anatomy, try to apply these simple tips that I have tried to give from my end. Now if you want me to shoot any other video on any other topic, then please drop down in the comment box below. And yes, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys the next time. Bye.